Welcome to Muse and Tech Podcast. Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to Muse in Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Dalia, and today, like every time, or at least time to time, we are here to share real stories, real lessons, and real strategies to help you start in tech and grow with tech. Today, I'm honored to introduce Sabina Bunger. And her story, in short sentences, is after almost 20 years in media and tech industry, now she helps mid-career tech women swap second-guessing to self-trust, so they can love their work and again to move forward on their own terms. Sabina, I'm so happy to have you here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Tell me a little secret. What's something people usually don't know about you?
I'm an oversharer, so people often know quite a lot about me. But I took a sabbatical from work. I spent 5 months traveling around South America, not because I needed a gap year, but it was more to prove that I could do it and that I could go on my own. At one point, I had to have friends come and visit me, because I wasn't sure I could do it on my own, but I did, and I think that was the start of me learning to trust myself and go on my journey.
5 months?
Yes, 5 months.
5 months. Okay, that is, I think we should start writing a book probably about that 5 months journey to find yourself, I think, or find your legacy. 5 months in America. How your journey in tech started?
It's funny. It started when I was at school. So I used to help with the lighting at school plays, and I really enjoyed that. And I wanted to work in kind of sound. And so when I was looking at university degrees, my careers advisor at the time said, you've got maths and physics, so let's find a degree that uses them. And we found one in Southampton, and it was media technology. And I was like, okay, cool. And I went down, met some lovely people, and it was great. And I started the course, and it was a bit of an engineering degree. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure this is what I want. But I had a great lecturer. I had many great lecturers, but one of them said, you're doing great, stay. Next year, there'll be more production, it'll be fun. And I enjoyed the course, and I stayed. But I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted, or, is this for me? Because I'd accidentally ended up on an engineering degree. But it was great, and at the end of that, I ended up getting a job in radio as a broadcast engineer. So I always feel like I fell into tech, and I really enjoyed it. But I didn't feel, and I guess this is the self-doubt that comes up, is that it was right for me. So I moved slightly within the company into IT, and then into networking, and then into management. So I feel like I accidentally fell into my roles.
I'm just thinking, I have the second question. What made you want to get in the tech industry? So I'm just thinking this kind of could be the keyword accidentally?
Yeah, I think so. I was just doing things that I enjoyed, and opportunities were coming up, and I was taking them, and I ended up, having a great career in tech. I love tech. I think a lot of people like knowing how things work, and that's how they end up in tech. But I think it's also worth mentioning that, you don't have to be technical to be in tech. There are a lot of roles that aren't engineering, aren't technical, aren't configuring hardware, whether that's project management, whether it's supporting, it could be commercial sales, supporting the tech industries within there. So there's lots of roles. But yes, I feel I ended up there accidentally, but I loved it.
I can feel it. I believe that you are attracting the wonderful things all the time around you. Okay. What the key moment helped you get where you are today? How you identify how you get here?
And actually, that's a really good question. And I think at the beginning of my career, the mind shift or the The key thing was just being available, saying yes to things, trying stuff, even when you're a little bit scared. Confidence comes after action, not before it. So I think when I was first in tech, I was going to the events, or I was trying the projects. And then as my career progressed, and then self-doubt and possibly imposter syndrome reared its ugly head, the mind shift that came with that was recognizing, okay, I'm learning, I'm growing. That's why I'm having these feelings, rather than labeling myself and getting lost in that, which I did for many years. Coming out the other side, the biggest shift there was recognizing this is just telling me I'm learning something. This is just telling me I'm in a space that's not designed for me, but it doesn't mean I shouldn't be here. So I think they would be the two key points I would share that has helped me in my journey.
Yeah, the confidence for sure is coming after any kind of project, position, any ideas which you're starting to implement. After you get out and start moving, and just after quite some time you get that confidence. I totally agree with this. And you mentioned about the imposter syndrome, so that the next question would be, we all face that kind of self-doubt or imposter syndromes. Always it's kind of, we want to, everything would be perfect and it's not ready to release to the market or something. It's like always something, the voice behind your head, kind of ghost, just telling you not real stories. So how you are dealing with this doubts or this imposter syndrome?
I think it's really important to mention that, everybody has those moments, as you've mentioned, but it does affect women more, because of society, whether it's culture, we have to be perfect and we have absorbed that message. So there's an element of unlearning that and then relearning, and that again comes through action. How have I got through it? Well, it's a constant battle. I think, as you've mentioned, it's for everybody. But one of the things that I have done is I have had to distance myself from those thoughts, and I've done that by giving it a name. So my imposter syndrome, self-doubt, is Freddie the Gremlin. I did spend a day using AI to make a picture of him, and I have it printed out on my wall, so I know that I can separate myself from those thoughts, because there's a difference of believing that I am an imposter or recognizing that I have imposter feelings at times, or moments of self-doubt, which are natural when you're doing something that you haven't done before.
It is. Now I just remember, for example, even you get that name, or for example, let's just imagine that something could stand behind you, and just imagine what would happen if you let that imposter syndrome or self-doubt keep leading you, just how you would end your journey, how would be good for you to not try the best thing in the life, because we are worth to try the new experience, give ourselves permission to learn.
I agree completely. That it is all about giving yourself permission. And going back to what you said, what might life be like when you allow, in my case, Freddie to take control? Well, that's where I was. I was at a point where I think Freddie was in control. I was doing the job and I was enjoying it up until a point. And I think, if I reflect back now, it's when Freddie was too loud. I stopped enjoying it, and then I worked out what I wanted to do. I think there is that giving yourself permission to kind of distance yourself and allow yourself to do things and to get things wrong.
Yeah, this is the thing. You can't do everything in the, perfectly in the first time. Just need to realize, because the second time will be the better one. It doesn't matter, or you would do that perfectly or not. Okay, so I know that we all have difficult times. Even, we touch a bit this topic, but how you go through that difficult times?
So, as you were talking, the difficult time that came up for me, I was thinking about when I lost my grandparents. I lost both of them quite quickly, and that was a hard time. And it made me reevaluate. And that, I think that's one of the key moments that made me work out what I wanted to do with my life and how I wanted to make a change. I didn't know where I was going to end up, but I just tried. And how do I get through that? Like, I try, and it's hard. I try to reflect, work out what's happening. I'm an avid fan of journaling. I would recommend that to anybody. And it's good to talk. And, you know, I would say this, but I think it's important to have a coach or somebody that you can talk to, because we can get lost in that moment and we need somebody to listen without judgment, but more importantly, to challenge us, because something we say today might be contradicting something we've previously said. And when we're in that moment or in the eye of the storm, it's hard to see and it's hard to zoom out. And knowing that you've got that trusted person, I think that's important.
First of all, I would say that I'm sorry to hear that for your loss. And the second part, I'm totally agree. And probably important thing, even sometimes not every time you can have something close to you. So probably it's important to believe in yourself as well, with no exceptions, or how to say it, just keep doing and keep believing, and just to know that today is not the final day. Thank you that you're sharing. Okay, so for women who just starting discover industry, the tech, I just I'm probably repeating that too much. Just tech, probably word is quite broad. And anyway, what would be the first step that you would recommend for them?
So I think it's important to know what you like. So whether that is a certain area of work, how you like to work, what you're interested in, that will help you build the foundation. And then you can try lots of different things. I was very fortunate in my career that I was able to move around and try different things and work out what I liked. So I think that's so important. It's about getting new inputs into the system so you can get more outputs. So whether it's a testing scenario. So try something, do you like it? Get that information, use that data, and then move on your journey. So, and I think that all comes from knowing yourself and knowing what you're good at and what you're not so good at, because they're the areas that you can delegate. They're areas that you can work on, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, because, you know, it's a good idea to work on your strengths.
I believe that even, after this answer, I think so the next stage would be monetize on the online, yeah?
So if you are going to monetize your skills, work out what you are good at. So also, I think possibly not just in the tech industry, but I think it happens a lot there. We think that it's got to be our qualifications, our coding skills, that's what we have to work on, but actually look at what your experience is. You're not starting from scratch, you're building from experience. So what's your experience? What's your passions, as well as your skills and your knowledge? And then when you look across, you'll find what you're good at. I often suggest having like a spreadsheet of clues.
Yeah, totally agree.
And then when you zoom out, you can see there might be a pattern. And actually, that's how I've ended up in my position. I had a career break after nearly 20 years. And I created that spreadsheet, and I recognized that actually I liked mentoring and coaching. I liked helping people improve if that's what they wanted. And there was a pattern of that. And so that's when I looked into becoming a credentialed coach. So it's the advice I'm giving is the advice I've taken.
It's amazing. Actually, I can feel from your energy, you can't stay in one place.
Yeah.
It's like that beautiful thing around you. It's like I'm not imagining you to stuck somewhere in the very, very tech position. You need to just communicate and help people probably. We're still going through that, where they can find you and how you can help. But I can identify immediately that this is that energy which people need. And again, I said that it will be relaxed, sit down and listen to our podcast. The question about how they can start making online, because we already get the answer that you, first of all, you have to find or identify your core experience and then start to monetize. And this is, I think, the beauty of these days, that everything can be with drag and drop technique. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to create a website. You don't have to be too technical. You just need to have that wish to build something.
I think it's important to know your why and what you're doing. You shouldn't let it hold you back if you can't build a website, because they're one of the things that you can delegate. It might feel difficult at first that you have to do everything, but there's no rule. There's no rule that you have to do everything. So do the bits you're good at and ask for help. Give yourself permission to ask for help.
Sometimes we pretend really big hero.
Yes.
Or just for the ladies that, or for the men as well. It's like, I don't know why we are thinking that we have to do everything by ourselves, especially in these days. By the way, my experience, because now I'm releasing that marketing analytics ebook, and I was stuck, I'm quite creative person, and I was thinking that I have to, create the ebook, do the final touch, be the publisher. It's like that many roles, and it's like final realization that stop, Dalia. Even you can do that, you don't have to do that. So it's like,
and I think that's so important, and I think that's so important, and it shows that when we are overthinking, we're underacting. So I think it's one of those things. It's about dialing down the overthinking, which is a negative, and dialing up the action. So it's just taking baby steps. Whatever that baby step is going to help you stop overthinking and just move that one step closer to feeling better and to your end goal.
Wonderful. Can you just book the session after that? Okay. What the mindset change or realization help you grow the most?
Oof.
Which one, yeah?
Well, there've been a lot, and the permission one that we talk about, I think is important. But I think if I'm really honest, it's that nobody's coming to save you. So I am very lucky. I've had a great career in tech, and I've had mentors and people who have supported me and championed me. And I think that has meant that I have waited for opportunities to come up. I've waited for people to tell me what I'm good at. I've waited to find out what my next step was. And actually, where I mentioned the sabbatical at the beginning, that was one of the turning points. I had 5 months, as we said, to think about what I want. And I came back with a list saying, thank you so much for allowing me this, but now I'd like to try this, and I'd like to try that. And I don't think I would have had the confidence to do that before then. And then again, and so that was a while ago, and then again recently with my current venture, I've realised that no one's coming to save me. I have to give this a go. I wouldn't have left my career to start a business because that was way too big a goal. It wasn't even on my radar. But I started the training, I got credentialed, I had clients, and I was like, okay, I'll have one more. So I think it's the realization that no one's coming to save you. You've got to save yourself.
It is. I think my one as well, in the basic words, to say that no parents around you, and nobody will not say what you have to do. You have to decide by yourself, and nobody will not offer for you what you can achieve maximum. So you have to go and ask that.
I think that word maximum is really important because I'm as I've mentioned before, I'm lucky, I'm fortunate, I have family, friends, colleagues. But I think relying on that, it keeps you small. And so going back to, if you want to maximize that, you've got to give it a go and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen?
Actually, yeah. You know what usually helps for me when I'm thinking that I'm doing something too big or something, out of my comfort zone. Just imagine myself on the huge mountain. It's like, is that, that small things doing the small, I don't know, action? It's my action. It's not that big. How did I imagine?
Yeah, that's great advice because you're zooming out. Like, yeah, that's great.
It is. Actually, I love this traditional question. I don't know. It sounds very, maybe even boring can sound, But what would be advice for your younger self? You still went through the journey. So, what would be the advice for your younger self?
So I've thought about this before. And it's one of the pieces of advice I give. It's think about where you want to end up so that you know where you're headed. Not so it's like a rigid goal. As I mentioned earlier, I loved my career and whatever came up, I went down that path. And then I looked back and I was like, oh, is this where I want to be? And I had a great time. But I think if you want to end up somewhere, you need to be a bit more intentional about your choices. So to younger self, I would say, if you want to be, I can't even think, but like a senior management in tech. Okay, what do I need to get there? So I need this experience, so I'll need this role so many years before, and work backwards. It's not a rigid pathway, but it gives you an idea and a timeline of what you can work towards, and better opportunities might come along the way, but you're headed somewhere. So that's the advice that I would give my younger self.
It's wonderful. And I hope so that anyone who is listening this podcast will take that into consideration, because it's very valuable advice would be.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening, the best way to do that is to visualize, daydream. Like, what do you fantasize about? What do you want your life to be in 10 years? And if that's hard, because especially when people are stressed, it's hard to imagine things, look at who you envy. That's usually a good sign of what you might want.
And did you notice that people are afraid to dream?
It's scary.
Why? I'm just noticed that, for example, when I am doing the daily task or traveling around, it's like when you're asking about even the salaries or the position, somehow I can feel they're afraid to dream for more.
Well, that's because we like to be in our comfort zone. As humans, we want comfort, certainty, and security. And so dreaming bigger means leaving the safety of your comfort zone, going into the fear zone, the learning zone, and then the growth zone. So the brain wants familiarity, whether that is good for us or not.
Yeah, it can be scary because it's uncomfortable. Even, you are dreaming, it's kind of comfortable dreams, and the dreams behind are much more bigger than your existing dreams, and probably it's kind of as you starting overthinking, you have the battle inside.
Well, I find that with clients. They will dream, but their dreams are smaller than they could be. But that's natural, we all do that. So it's it's allowing yourself permission to dream big.
Yeah, this is, sometimes we can hear the big words, big quotes or something, but actually when you stop sometimes and you just listen truly that quote, it's giving you different mind or different ideas what is truly mean that quote. For example, dream big. It's like, very, very marketing thing. But actually, when you sit down and thinking about that, it's like, it's the purpose behind that.
And it's also, maybe we should caveat what's big for you. Like, it doesn't matter what somebody else's big is, your big will be different. And there's no need for comparison. So work out what's, baby steps, and then what's a big step. So let's personalize it.
Actually, would you mind to tell us what are you doing and how you're achieving the bigger goals with your clients, how you can help for the audience who is listening this podcast.
Yeah, of course. So I predominantly support kind of techies in the media industry to help them get over self-doubt, to stop doubting themselves and start trusting their decisions so that they can love their jobs again. I find that after maybe 10 years or so, people are looking to work out what they want, whether it's to pivot or to try something new, or if they just want to fall in love with their job again. And often it's working out what they want. As we've mentioned today, it's looking at those baby steps, it's looking at those big dreams. I like to work on like a C3 framework. So curiosity, let's get curious, because until you know what you want, we can't go any further. And then C2 is looking at your confidence and your capabilities, because then that helps you trust in what you're doing, that builds self-trust. And also, it's important to be compassionate with yourself. You know, we don't get far with criticism. And then finally, it's a clear path forward, working out how you can make your dreams come true. I can be found on LinkedIn. I'm regularly posting there. And if anything I've resonated, if anything I have said resonates with your audience, you know, they can find me there or reach out and we can have a chat.
Amazing. I'm honored to have you here because you are a wonderful speaker, but the energy and the advices which you are giving for our audience, it's very valuable, I believe so.
Well, thank you for having me. Like, it's a great reason to be here.
Lithuania.
In Lithuania, yeah. Who knew I would do this?
It's something, magical, I think. So, like a Christmas time.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any events, courses, or everything they can find on your LinkedIn page, or it is any website which you would like to share?
So if people are interested in one-on-one coaching, they can either find me via LinkedIn if they want to get to know my work, or my website is coachingwithsabina.com, and they can also find out about me there. I occasionally do webinars or workshops, so I will advertise that on LinkedIn or on my website so they can find out more there.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, then this is the final question. If you could give one message to women who are starting in tech today, what would be?
So, start before you're ready. I had a few going around in my mind, but I think that's the one I would say. Start before you're ready, because no one's never feels ready. Who knows? You could end up on a plane flying to Lithuania for a podcast. So yes, start before you're ready.
It's amazing. I believe that this is the great message, because you're never ready, actually.
Well, and who decides what ready is?
It is. And it was truly wonderful to have you here with us today. And for rest of us, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to visit our website, www.museintech.com, for more real stories, tips, and encouragement. We are here to support your journey in tech. Stay tuned until the next time. Keep believing, keep building, and keep doing the micro steps. And also keep shining your light. And thank you, Sabina, and till next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, beautiful souls. Don't forget to like, follow, and share, and visit us at museintech.com. Until next time.